Hey, Bolt.new Builders. Welcome to the first episode of the brand new Bolt.new Builders podcast. My name is Mauricio from Yesi Education, and you might have seen me around in one of the many Bolt.new communities. And I've been thinking about this idea for some time, and I'm really glad, really happy, and really excited to bring this to you today. Because I woke up thinking the other day that we were missing something in our community. And I think, it just hit me. I woke up one day and it just hit me that we were missing a podcast and a newsletter. And that's why I created both. And I'll continue to share with you audio episodes and new episodes of the podcast. And everything, of course, is going to be related to the Bolt New community and the Bolt New product and what we're doing and what's coming. News, new products, new launches, new features, new functionality, how we're dealing with different challenges in the community with the product, and so forth. I have a ton of ideas around this, but of course, I'm always, open to constructive feedback. And, anyone that has an idea or that wants to share something or some thoughts, let me know. And of course, I'll take that into account as we're building this new podcast. Now, one of my initial ideas around this as well is to offer different Bolt.new builders the opportunity of sharing, audio episodes of their own within this podcast. And the format that I thought about this is very simple. If you just send me an audio file with whatever you want to discuss or talk about in terms of what you're building with Bolt.new or something that's on your mind about Bolt.new, you can send that to me and I'll incorporate that and include it in the podcast. We can also jump on a call, of course, if you feel that you want to jump on a call and have an actual conversation with me, and we can do a bit more of like a, typical classical, podcast interview or podcast discussion episode as well. And that's fine as well. No issues with any of that. If you want to jump on a call, just send me a message and, we'll coordinate that and plan for that. But it's also sometimes very, easier or just very simple if you just send an audio file, and then I can just add it into the episode and, add my own audio as well to it to make sure that it covers the different, aspects of the episode, or just to introduce you before you, kick it off with your own audio. And the reason why I've been thinking about this idea or this concept of different builders just sending me audio files that I can quickly add to the podcast is because it's sometimes a lot easier and faster to do something like this, because you can record, yourself, the audio, however you want, and you don't have the pressure or the time constraint or requirement to coordinate a particular, interview or a particular point in time or anything like that. And yeah, sometimes I feel like it just makes it a lot easier as well. And don't worry if you don't have any like sophisticated or fancy podcasting equipment or recording, audio equipment or anything like that. You don't really need that, to record and create a podcast. You can create a podcast with something as simple as your phone. If you're using an iPhone, even better, because the quality of the audio in iPhones is super high, obviously. And if you're in the latest version, it's even higher. It's like studio quality recording, mics that you have on your iPhone. So you can definitely record it just with your phone, and that is, an option as well. But if you're one of those people that has like a super fancy and sophisticated, podcasting setup or audio setup, that's fine as well. No issues, no worries, no dramas. Whatever works for you is fine. As long as, of course, as the quality of the audio is good enough for people to actually listen to it, I'm happy to include it in the podcast. If you send me an audio file that is like super low quality, that you just can't hear properly the audio, and I just know that people are gonna find it really annoying, then obviously I'm not going to include that in the podcast, but I'll give you feedback and I'll send you, my recommendations and tips, because I've been involved with podcasting for a very long time. So I have a lot of experience with it, and yeah, I can share with you different things that you can do to enhance your audio creation, your audio creation process. But like I said, if you just use the phone and you have a good high quality phone with a good high quality mic, it should be more than enough. And yeah, you can just, send me the audio file and we'll incorporate it into the podcast. Everything that's happening with Bolt.new is just so exciting. There's just so much happening, so much going on, so much creativity, so many incredible products that people are building. And I just feel super excited and super passionate about this. It is, as someone said the other day, an incredible time to be alive. And, I just feel very fortunate and very lucky to be a part of the community, and, being able to share my knowledge and my experience with you guys is also so that I'm also very passionate about this. And I'm sure I can also, of course, learn a lot from you as well. Bolt.new, by the way, has gone from zero to over $20 million in annual recurring revenue in just a matter of months. And that, of course, is testament, not just to Bolt.new per se as a product, but also to StackBlitz and the team behind Bolt.new, which is StackBlitz as a company. And of course, in particular, a big shout out to Eric Simmons, the CEO and founder and co-founder of Bolt.new and StackBlitz. Of course, his leadership has inspired many of us, and I continue to be amazed about what the Bolt.new team are doing with this product, the StackBlitz team are doing with this product, and just how incredible and how powerful Bolt.new is. And by the way, for anyone wondering, in terms of my experience around this, I was one of the early adopters, not just with Bolt.new, but with many of the other coding with AI tools. And I played with pretty much all of them, from the very early days, even with tools like Lovable, which actually started as GPT Engineer. I was probably one of the first users in the world to use GPT Engineer when it came out. And, to be honest, I wasn't really impressed. The quality of the designs and the output of GPT Engineer were very low, incredibly low. And, similar experience with V0 and with Replete as well, and so forth. Like pretty much with all of them, I tried all of them, and I just kept finding flaws and issues and like just incomplete parts of the process. Like, things like GPT Engineer and V0, before they didn't even consider the whole end-to-end process from idea to launch. They had just kind of bits in the process. Like in the example of V0, to talk about this in particular, you could create the front end, so kind of like the design of the application, but you couldn't do anything beyond that. Like you couldn't actually create the back end of the product. You couldn't add authentication, a database. You couldn't actually deploy that to production because it wasn't actually like a complete product. And now they've made that available. Now they do have it, and GPT Engineer has rebranded to Lovable, which, by the way, I think was a very smart idea from them. They are, by the way, led by a team in Europe, an incredible team of brilliant engineers as well. I think that group is doing some fantastic things. The Lovable team is doing some really interesting things with their product development and with what they're releasing, and in particular with how quickly they are releasing new features and new functionality. They're definitely shifted gears and have completely ramped up and stepped up their game, which is really good to see, of course, because that also puts a bit of pressure on us, the Bolt.new community and the Bolt.new development team to step up to the plate and deliver faster and enhance the product and just remain competitive, of course, because if they don't remain competitive, if we don't remain competitive, then we're going to start losing users and people are going to start shifting to other products. So this is a race. you might have heard me talk about this before. We are kind of in the era of the coding with AI wars. This is how I've called this, or I've coined this term, the coding with AI wars, a bit like the streaming wars. Now we're in the coding with AI wars, and it's a bit of a winner takes all, high stakes war, because there's literally billions of dollars at stake in this war. And obviously the team that is the highest performing team, the fastest to deliver, that delivers the best quality product, is the team that's going to win. And right now, for me, that is 100% Bolt.new. It always has been from the beginning. Like I said, even when I started with Bolt.new at the beginning, they had some, like, they were lacking some very basic things, like even the opportunity of rolling back and having like chat history, or like some of these things that I would have considered fundamental and basics. But even back then, when Bolt.new launched, I was still able to do something that I wasn't able to do with any of the other applications and products, and that was to actually fully complete a product, like actually fully build the product and also release it into the market. Like with all the other ones, you had issues. I remember with Replete, for example, I spent probably like 6 weeks trying to build multiple applications. I rebuilt some of them many times and I still couldn't get it done, even with people on their team helping me out with some of the things. And I keep hitting also they had at the time they had this kind of like consumption limits. And every time I was working, I get stopped, every hour, every half an hour. It was like really annoying. And yeah, I just lost so much time with that and couldn't actually get anything really done. But with Bolt.new from the beginning, I was able to actually complete products. And even though they weren't perfect, and even though they didn't have all the things that they have now back then, and by the way, if you don't remember, they actually launched on October 4th, 2024. So that's like very recent, like it's incredibly recent. And it's amazing how much and how far they've come in such a short period of time. And yeah, I'm just amazed, like I said, about what they're doing. And I feel very, optimistic, very positive, very, engaged with what's happening because I can just see the potential. And yeah, I'm really excited. And there's a lot of things that we as a community can also contribute to the product. It's already happening, right? Like you would have seen yesterday or the day before when, StackBlitz announced that they had now supported this, Bolt do-it-yourself open source project. And now it's kind of like a whole thing that is actually now formally endorsed and supported by StackBlitz as well. And this, of course, is not something that surprises me because StackBlitz has a very strong history of supporting the open source community. So yeah, that's just going to continue, of course. And yeah, like I said, it's not something that surprises me. It just showcases the type of company that they are, the values that they live and breathe. And yeah, it's just very exciting. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. This is our first episode, the first episode of the Bolt.new Builders podcast. Like I mentioned before, my name is Mauricio from Yesi Education, and I'm really excited to have you guys here. And I look forward to us continuing to having these chats, these conversations, and growing together our apps, that community, and Bolt.new. All right, I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye.